Hi, I'm John Gibson. I'm the priest, the pastor at Grace Episcopal Church. I am thrilled today to be with Jill Allen. Jill Allen is one of the founders of Grace. You were there at the beginning 25 years ago. Grace had its first service in January of 1996. Hard to believe.
Hard to believe.
Wow. And you're a little soft, so just kind of speak up a little bit. Not quite sure what it was, because before we got on, the recording was fine. So I've noticed it kind of comes in and comes out, but no worries. It's all going to be fine. So Jill, tell us a little bit about the lead up to that. I mean, to that service. How did this whole thing kind of get started? 25 years. So we're celebrating this year Grace's 25th anniversary. How did it all kind of get started going up to that first service?
I saw, Clayton used to have a newspaper and it came out once a week, maybe once or twice a week. And I saw a little paragraph in the paper that said a startup, a satellite church of St. Paul's Episcopal in Smithfield was wanting they were gauging interest and they were wanting to have kind of a meet together to see, they were going to have I'm sorry, I can't think of my words here. Kind of a meetup, like just to see what the turnout would be and see if there was interest in that. And I grew up as a Lutheran, and I was going to the Lutheran church in Garner, Lord of Life, and it was really far, and it's hard to do that when you have little kids, and I would much prefer to stay in the Clayton area. And Episcopal and Lutheran are very similar. And so I was really interested, and it was in January of 1996. And so we were meeting at Clayton High School. And at the time I had a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old and a toddler, a 1-year-old. So we went Sunday morning, we went to church at Clayton High School, and they didn't have the correct keys to get in. It was freezing cold, very cold. And we could get into this hallway outside, kind of an alcove area, but we couldn't get into the actual school. So we still had church though. The minister was Ken Bradshaw at the time. And several people from St. Paul's came. They were very supportive. There were probably 40 or 50 people there. So
it was in the alcove actually at Cary High. So it wasn't in the auditorium or anything like that?
No, it was supposed to be in the cafeteria, but we didn't have the proper keys to get in. So it was in just the alcove, kind of I guess we had a key to get into the outer part of the school. Okay. So there were no chairs or anything in there. We just had to stand and.
So you stood for the whole service?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, we did. Yep, we sure did. And like I said, I had a toddler and the floor was filthy. And I just remember it was freezing cold and Sam was crawling around on the floor and, whatever. But
wow,
that's one funny memory. But
that is a funny memory. And so, was it a Eucharist, a communion service, or was it morning prayer, or what kind of service was it?
Honestly, I don't remember there being Eucharist.
Okay.
But there were no prayer books. I can't really remember. I think it was more of a meet and greet kind of thing. And then the minister had a small homily. Of course, there was no music, anything like that. So I can't remember. I don't remember there being Eucharist. We had a thing. I remember we had to write our names down and put in a hat and then pull out a name of the hat. And then you had to find that person and have get together with that person and talk. And I remember I got somebody's name from Smithfield. And so that, it was just kind of a fun get to know you kind of a thing.
So the first get together was not, it sounds to me like not really a formal service as much. So you said the minister gave a little talk, kind of homily kind of thing, but it was more like the way you described it, a meet and greet.
I think so. There were some elements of morning prayer in that. But I don't, like I said, I don't remember no music and no Eucharist.
No music, no
So,
Eucharist. So some prayers, a little homily. Do you remember anything that Ken Bradshaw said in his remarks?
well, he explained, what the process was, explained that we were going to be a mission church of St. Paul's.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember the homily actually. Like I said, I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So
Right,
that kind of is distraction right there. But
right.
I know that he asked for volunteers
Uh-huh.
like any church would do.
Yeah.
Um, and he said also that he would not be our minister. He would be our minister in name, but they were planning to get a, I guess what they would call a floater priest, or I'm not sure what the term would be, a
Hmm.
supply priest to come in. And so then at that point, we were a few weeks later, maybe a month later, we had Phil Wea who came. And I remember Ken talking about that, he would be our priest in name, that if we needed advisement or anything, we could always go to him in Smithfield, but we would not have a priest like in charge of us,
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
so that was probably one of the frustrating things about the whole process, is that we had Phil on Sundays. And then if you wanted to talk to your priest, you had to go to Smithfield, and Ken wasn't really, he was our priest, I guess, in
Hmm.
name, but
Hmm.
um, it's not as easy to do that, to go down and talk to someone in another building, and
Right. Especially when the person that you're seeing every Sunday is not the same person. And so, and
right.
I know Phil Wea, and Phil
Uh-huh.
Wea at the time, he's retired now. I believe he
Mhm.
lives in Western North Carolina, but at the time he was the chaplain, Episcopal chaplain at North Carolina State University.
Okay, right. Yes.
So
Yeah.
he was free on Sunday mornings because you don't have services for college students on a Sunday morning. Because they
I
sleeping.
don't think so. Maybe Sunday night's a better time.
Sunday night is a better time to have. Yes, exactly right. Yeah, exactly right.
Well,
Okay, so
Phil
Phil Wea
Phil
was
was
really kind
married.
of your.
Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Good. No, I was going to say Phil was married to his wife was a Unitarian minister, I
Okay.
believe.
Huh.
And so after about 3 months after we had started, 2 or 3 months after Grace had started, we had a baptism, and the bishop came to
Hmm.
Clayton High School. My 2 kids were baptized, and Sarah Hale's daughter, Rebecca, was baptized that day.
Hmm.
And we had Phil there, and we had his wife, the Unitarian minister, there. So that was kind of an interesting service also.
Yeah, I bet it was. And the bishop would have been Bob Johnson because he was the bishop in the 1990s. Yeah. Huh. Well, that is really so neat. Now, you said your 2 children were there. You mentioned Sarah Hale. Were there a lot of children there, or just y'all's children?
There were quite a few. In fact,
Hmm.
that was one of my first volunteer jobs, was to be um, doing the Sunday school Christian
Hmm.
education.
Okay.
We had some teenagers, and there were probably 10 or 12 kids, and
Okay.
maybe 6 or 8 teenagers,
Hmm.
somewhere in that range.
Hmm. And for your first meet and greet to have, you said like around 40 people there, that
Mhm.
showed to me pretty good interest.
Yeah. Now, some of those were folks from Smithfield who came down to support us, but
Hmm.
still, I think we had a pretty good turnout,
Hmm.
honestly, for that first time.
Hmm.
Um, I- yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was a good turnout.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing to just remind folks of who are hearing this story. And I just love, I love to know the history myself because, really it's like family. I mean, all families have stories that they tell, and it just helps to know the family by listening to their stories. So I think it's good for folks at Grace to know is that Grace came about because of the desire of some folks in Smithfield to start a church. They realized there was a need for a church, and they reached out and they made it happen. And Grace here is continuing 25 years later. So Yeah, yeah. Now, we're going to talk more, of course, because again, this is the 25th anniversary year. And so we do want to have, I would like to have more conversations with you because you have a lot of wonderful memories about Grace. Did the church at first continue to meet at Clayton High School?
Met there for several months. Our next place was the Clayton Senior Center
Okay,
on Dairy Road.
okay.
We may have been at Clayton High School for, I know we were there through the summer and
Hmm.
into the fall. I don't really, 25 years ago, John, I can't remember all of this
Well, I know, and you were three at the
timeline.
time too. I mean, you yourself were three, and so I don't quite understand how your children were three and one, but I'm not that good with math, you know. So, but anyway, but yeah, so you started out. I think that's really a neat thing to know is that started out at Clayton High School and then moved to the senior center, and of course, the church's current location. I think this is kind of a cool tie-in is part of this journey. So the church continues to it's the journey of faith of this community of faith, which I love. I think that's just a wonderful thing.
Stuck
Yeah.
together. We've been to the senior center. Then after that, we were at West Clayton Elementary School, and that we met in the gym, and that was hard. It was great. It was a great space, but every Sunday we had to get everything out and set it up and then put it back away. And we had to share a closet with the PE teacher. So we had, the chairs were there, part of the school, but the altar and things like that that we use where we shared a closet with the PE instructor. And so, you just had to get everything out and put everything back away before school the next day.
Hmm.
Um, and then the Christian education classes, they were supposed to leave some rooms unlocked for that. And sometimes they remembered and sometimes they didn't. So sometimes if it was nice out, we just had Sunday school outside on the playground,
Hmm. Hmm.
that kind
Hmm.
of thing. But so that was a challenge. And then we also met, there's a place of what's now the yoga studio in downtown Clayton. We met there for a while.
Hmm.
Um, we met a few times at Ruby Atchison's house. And there was another woman at the time who was a member. We met at her house a few times. So we've just kind of been all around,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is okay.
Yeah, and I think that's another wonderful thing for folks to keep in mind too, is that it's a lot of work Sunday after Sunday after Sunday to set up for church. And then, of course, when church is all over, to break everything down and put it all away. And so, I think that's something important for people to keep in mind as we talk about the history of Grace, as we talk about this journey of the work that people have put into it to make it all possible to get where the church is today, and how far the church has come too. So, well, and I can't hear you, Jill. So I don't know, something happened, but I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
A little, can you speak a little? I could barely hear
Yeah,
you.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay, there you
Is
go.
that okay now?
That's it, good now. Hmm.
Okay. Um, yeah, it is. It's a lot of takes a lot of time and a lot of dedicated volunteers to be there before the church service to get everything fixed and then to take it all and put it away afterwards.
Hmm.
So, we were pretty creative. If it was a nice day, we would try to meet outside, or we had picnics at the park. Clemens, we used to meet at Clemens once in a while.
Hmm.
They have a building there that you can rent or reserve space.
Hmm.
And that was always nice to be able to go outside and do that.
Hmm.
Um,
As you're talking, it just kind of reminds me, I'm just kind of thinking about some of the things that are such tie-ins today. And so, of course, with COVID times, sometimes we've had some outdoor services in the fall, and now that the weather is getting nice again, I imagine we will be having some more services outdoors before we return, which is going to happen this year to in-person worship services inside. So yeah, some of the tie-ins of the stories from then and now as well, and also the fact how you just kind of had to make it up as you went along. And of course, that's what we've had to do with COVID. I mean, we've just had to make it up as we've been going along during this time. So
Yeah, that's true. You know, we've had several different ministers over the years as well. We had Barbara Hendren was probably our longest time that we
mhm.
had a priest, but we've had some different ones when we were at the senior center, and um, but all of them have been pretty adaptable to us, and you know, we're grateful for any ministers that we could have.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and I'm very thankful, I would like to say, because I've been with the church a little over 7 years now, and it's just a wonderful group of people like yourself, Jill. And I would just like to say I'm so thankful for your work, your dedication, the work of many people who I do not know, because of course they're people from before my time who
mhm,
I haven't met and never will meet, but I'm just so thankful for all of the work that has gone in then and now to make this
mhm.
such a great community of faith. And Jill, I'm looking forward to more of our conversations because I do love to hear these stories, and I know other folks will as well. So I'm looking forward as we celebrate Grace's 25th anniversary to more conversations with you throughout the year, but also conversations with other people. I'm going to see if I can get in touch with Phil Wea, for example. I don't know if
Yeah,
I can, but I'm going to try and get in touch with him and have some conversations with some other folks about their
okay,
memories of this dynamic congregation.
great.
And Jill, just thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.